Hello and welcome everybody to Stay Home and Draw. We've decided maybe this is like what we're going to be calling it from now on, but I'm Lisa Bardot and we're going to be drawing some spring flowers today because it's, well, I don't know where you're at, but for me, it's a really nice, beautiful spring day. So this is, we're doing this kind of to help people as you guys are staying home. First, to encourage people just to stay home right now, to kind of like fight off the spread of the COVID-19 and all that. And also just to infuse some creativity into your lives and give you something to maybe look forward to when your days are probably looking very unusual and crazy to how they normally are. So yeah, we'll go ahead and you guys can ask questions along the way. Feel free to pop them into the comments here. I've got my husband, Jeff. He's like our technical guru back there.
Hello, everybody.
He's manning behind the scenes and he's reading all your comments and questions and like passing them along to me because I can't see the screen. So
it would honestly be kind of impossible for Lisa to look at all of this and draw. So,
yeah.
But yeah, we are live right now, you guys. For those of you who are on Instagram, Facebook, this video is always live and available on YouTube. So we're going live at 10:30 a.m. Monday through Friday this week. Mm-hmm. And it will always be available to watch later.
Yeah, so if you can't stay for the whole thing today, that's okay. You can always catch the rest of it later on our YouTube channel. I made a playlist for all the live videos, and our YouTube channel is just called Bardot Brush. So if you search for that on YouTube, you should be able to find it just fine. Okay, so today, like I said, we're going to be drawing some spring flowers. I thought that would be nice. Now, flowers aren't really my go-to subject matter when I'm drawing. It's not like one of those things I gravitate to, like animals and food and like things like that. But we'll see how this goes. I literally don't have a plan at all, but we'll do what we can. So, all right, so I'm going into Procreate. I think I'm going to do, I might do like a vertical orientation. I don't know. No, I'll do a horizontal one, I think. My little birdies are a little too close. I put some birdies with some like flowers in them. Trying to spring it up in here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and create, oops, that's not what I meant to do, but that's what we are doing. Stay home and draw. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and create a new canvas. And my canvases that I always use generally are 5,500 by 4,000 pixels. It's very big. If you have an older iPad or a smaller, slower iPad, you might not get very many layers with a canvas that big, but it's fine for me and my iPad Pro. This is the late 2018 iPad Pro 12.9 inch. And I just like that I have the ability to blow it up big if I ever wanted to print something big. So I usually get an iPad with a pretty large hard drive to accommodate the large files. So that's not a problem. Okay, so I don't know if I'm gonna just draw like flowers coming out of the ground or like flowers in a vase or something like that, or maybe just some flowers. I don't know. I haven't really decided. But maybe what I know I'm going to start with is looking at some reference photos to get an idea of what kind of flowers I'm going to do. So that's what I'm going to do now. There's that little line at the bottom of your screen and you can just pull up your dock. And then I take Safari and I plop it over here onto the side. So I can use that to pull up reference photos. So I'm just going to type in spring flowers and see what comes up. I'll probably dig in deeper and look at specific flowers as we go on. But just to kind of so already there's some ideas of flowers I can do. I know I want to do daffodils because I really like daffodils. Probably some tulips. I don't know what other kind of flowers. If you guys have any flowers you want me to add to this, I'll probably just do like a few different kinds as maybe, I don't know, something like that. Very specific. Tulips, daffodils. We have a question, Jeff?
Well, we're just going to, there's a few questions on YouTube that I was noticing about, which iPad, is the mini good enough? Is the iPad 11-inch good enough? And, what is the answer to that question?
Yeah, whatever iPad you can afford is good. I'm serious about that. Yep. You will get some advantages by getting like a faster iPad or iPad Pro is that you do get a higher layer count and it's more responsive and yada yada. You know, bigger hard drive, of course, you have more room to store your artwork. But as long as it works with the Apple Pencil, and I'm serious about that, like, as long as it works with the Apple Pencil, go for it. Like, whichever one you're gonna get. I do this for a living and I use my iPad very heavily, so I always like max it out with my hardware. So I get like the fastest one and the biggest hard drive and all that stuff. So
the answer is whatever works for you, your budget, like get an iPad, and that way you can definitely be creative anywhere and everywhere.
Yep, exactly. And you can, if you if you Google like Apple Pencil compatibility, you'll pull up an Apple article that'll tell you what iPads support the Apple Pencil and which Apple Pencil, because there are two versions. This is Apple Pencil 2, Gen 2, which works only with this iPad Pro and the one they just released. And then all the other ones that support Apple Pencil use the one, which I have here, my old iPad Pro, which looks the same, but it has this like charging bit at the bottom. That's like the biggest thing you can tell, and like it's also a little longer. That's the two different ones.
And so it looks like we've got a bunch of really fun flower ideas coming in. So
okay, shout them out, me.
I've actually got a couple people said grape hyacinth, which I was impressed with that there was a couple
Grape
people actually
hyacinth.
asking
Are
for
those
that in
like
places.
triangular ones, I think?
Ranunculus.
Oh, I
which
love
is-
ranunculus. Oh, look, that's a ranunculus. This one's fake. These are real. Like the other, I don't know if you can see it in the video, but this is fake. These are real. Our friend who's a florist dropped a beautiful bouquet of flowers off to us the other day because she had a wedding and it canceled last minute. So she just was delivering bouquets of flowers to her friends, which was really sweet. So that was nice. So I pulled a couple of those off and put them in there. Okay, so
we had a couple other ideas, even just sunflowers and aster. I haven't heard.
aster.
Yeah, but cool. There's lots of good ideas.
All right. So I'm just going to start with, I'm just going to sketch some stuff out. And I don't really have a plan, but I kind of have an idea in my head a little bit. So I usually do my sketches with like a middle gray. And if you saw me tap right next to gray, it snaps to middle gray. So that works on many places on the color wheel, but that's a cool little tip. So I got gray, and then I am going to, I'll move that out of the way. That's something I'm working on for later. I'll maybe tell you guys about that. Okay, so I don't know what brush set I'm getting. I've been using the gouache paint box this whole like past week and a half for these live videos because I really love it so far. It's like one of my favorite sets and I'm really very comfortable with it at this point. I mean, I'm comfortable with all the brushes, but maybe I'm gonna mix it up. And should I do something with magic paper today?
Sure.
That might be good.
That might be fun.
Okay, I think I'm gonna mix it up today. I'm gonna use my magic paper product, which is like 25 different textured canvases that give your artwork this really cool, like realistic look to them with all these fun textures and stuff. So I have those stored on my Files app, if I can pull it up, on my iPad. In magic paper. And if you when you get this product, it tells you like how to set this up so you have them all ready to go. And then I think one of my favorite papers from this set is Sediment. So I just tap that and it imports into Procreate, so it's all ready to go. And I can just start drawing. So I have to go out of here because this is that same canvas. There's my magic paper that I just imported. They come in two versions. There's a lower resolution, which is like 2000 by 2500 pixels. And then there's also a high res version, which is I think what I'm gonna use because I'm so used to using high res. So magic paper. Maybe I don't have those saved. Mine's not set up as well as I would like it to be. So that's fine. I'll just use the smaller one. No big deal. And then I'm just gonna turn it here. That might mess up my time lapse, but that's okay. Okay, so the great thing about this product is that anything you draw, like it comes with these cool like texture files at the top, and then you start drawing where it says start drawing here. And as long as your artwork is below this stack of texture files, it's going to get the cool effects applied to it. So let me just draw with any brush, and it works with any brush. And some brushes you can see it better than others. It does come with a set of magic brushes, which are designed to use with this product. So there you can see, like, that normally is just like a flat color, but the magic paper adds some really beautiful texture to it. In fact, if I turn off the magic paper, you can see it's just like flat. So it kind of does something a little magical. So I think I'm gonna use that today because I think it will look really pretty with the flowers. I'm kind of losing my voice today. Maybe I've been talking on the internet too much. Hopefully that's all it is. Okay, so I'm gonna use to sketch. I usually, if I'm not using some sketcher that is included in a brush set, I'll just go to like a pencil brush, which I have a pencil set called Pencil Box. So I'm gonna use Bardo pencil from that set. Procreate also has some great built-in Procreate brushes for pencils and stuff too. So anything that's pencil-like is good for sketching. So I'm gonna get my middle gray. And I think I'm just gonna have just like a bunch of flowers, you know, kind of some smaller, kind of coming out the bottom of my canvas. Nothing too crazy, just like a bunch of different flowers. So I'm just drawing like where the stems might go, and that looks pretty good. And then I'm gonna decide like what kind of flowers. So I know I wanted a daffodil, so I'm gonna be really, really rough for this initial sketch because I just wanna figure out like what flowers are gonna go where. I'm not trying to get like detailed or anything like that. So like a daffodil, they kind of have these like star situation and that kind of thing like that. A tulip, kind of like that. Might do another daffodil on this side. Actually, maybe this one's facing more forward. So it's kind of got this stuff coming around it like a sun. What else? Maybe, I don't know, what are like more spring flowers? Oh, I love poppies. They're one of my favorites. I love, this is like a California poppy, which is my state flower because I'm in California. But my favorite poppy, I love those too, but I really love Icelandic poppies.
I wondered if you were going to say
That's one of my favorite, all-time favorite flowers. Oops, Icelandic poppies. They're so beautiful, and I love the colors that they come in. Oh, I love them so much. So I definitely want to include one of those for sure. Probably two. So I'm just going to like really roughly, that'll be, I think they have like 4 flower petals. Okay, I'll put one there. And maybe one up here, but that one will be like from the side. Again, really rough. Okay, cool, and maybe one more because I love them so much. We'll do one like that too. Okay, cool. Okay, so let me go back to spring flowers. No, I don't want ice. Let me look at this. So the hyacinth, somebody mentioned the hyacinth, yeah, which looks very hard to draw. That's a lot of detail. But you know what? Why don't we attempt it? And I can see if I can simplify it because I think I might have a way that I can simplify it into a more stylized look. So we'll put that guy right here maybe. And I don't know. Oh, they're like really, really short stemmed. So maybe I'll do it down here. So this is kind of like the shape of it. And then we're gonna have these like things coming up, the like leaves, leaves. Okay. Anemones, peonies, freesia, buttercups. What do buttercups actually look like? Oh, ranunculus. Oh yeah, somebody mentioned that and I love ranunculus. Mostly, well, because they look cool and also they have a really fun name. We used to say like ranunculus is redunculus. Do you guys remember when people used to say redunculus? Like in 2009 or something? No, anyways. All right, so that's gonna kind of look like that. Maybe I'll put another one here that's kind of more angled.
Just as a side note, there were a couple. Someone was just saying, "Hey, just so you know, the grape hyacinths are a little easier to draw, so you may want to take a peek at."
Oh,
them.
grape.
Definitely
Oh, okay.
grape
This is
hyacinth.
I
Those
thought
are
it was
what
just like
people
a.
ask for,
I
so-
thought it was a purple one. That's what I assumed.
Well, I mean, they are. They come in purple and like some kind of blue, beautiful blue
Oh, I
colors.
spelled that right. I did not spell it right.
HYAC.
Yeah, it auto-corrected me. It's okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
Okay. All right. Let's try that. Why not? Oh, what do I have for my eraser? Not what I want. I'm just gonna go use the same pencil for an eraser. So it's more of a triangular shape, and like it's got stems that are more like what is that? Like a tulip? Let me just erase that whole thing. Oh gosh. Okay. All right. I just did away with it completely. Okay. So I think I'm going to put it here. So we got the triangular shape. I'm still going to keep it pretty low. And then kind of the leaves, which I haven't added really any leaves except for these, are going to be there. And yeah, that's pretty much what it looks like. So I need one more flower there. So let me go back and figure out what I want to do. Oops. Tulips, daffodils. Tulips and daffodils are like that's what I imagine when I think of spring flowers. Oh, sweet peas. Those are cute. They have a lot of, yeah. They have a lot of different little bits and pieces too. But okay, I'm going to just challenge myself and like see. I'm going to try and simplify it. So maybe we'll do it. It'll be behind that one a little bit. I know they have these like swirly bits that come off of them. Okay, cool. And then I know I'm going to add some leaves. So I'm going to add some on my tulip. This is just kind of like, again, placing things where I want them to go. And this one maybe we'll kind of do that. For my, what's that, daffodil? And everything's kind of overlapping. It's getting really messy, but I still kind of understand what I'm doing in my head, so it's okay. The poppies have different leaves. Poppies. They kind of have those like, they don't really have a lot of leaves on their stem. So maybe don't worry about that. Okay, okay, that's good for now because this is really messy and I want to start to like clean it up a little bit. So I think this is looking pretty good. I don't really know. We'll put a bud there for the poppy. They do have those like little buds. That's, yeah, little bud. Okay, so that's pretty good. I'm going to leave this up because I'm going to be going back to my references often as I like make a nicer sketch and like add details and stuff. I think somebody's gardening outside, so sorry if that's loud out there. So what I'm going to do to make a more refined sketch now is I'm going to just create another layer. And I'm going to reduce the opacity of my previous layer. So I'm just going to turn that down. And then, okay, so now I'm on this new layer and I can start, I'm turning down a little bit more. Okay, pardon me. Okay, so now I'm gonna start and draw something a little bit more detailed. So I'm going to look at daffodils first. I think it's always good to have some kind of reference photo when you're drawing these things. Of course, I am planning on stylizing these a lot, so I'm not going for anything super realistic. I really love to stylize things, which basically is to stylize something means to not make it look realistic, to make artistic choices, to make it look like you want it to look. So not realistic. So you kind of boil it down to its simplest shapes and then choose to add whatever details you want to communicate what that thing is. And I talk about this a lot in a lot of my like video tutorials that I've made and edited about stylizing things because it's so fascinating to me, and I think it really shows the artist's mind and things like that. So anyways, okay, so kind of seeing this one that's the same angle as what I'm trying to draw. So I've got like a wavy edge around there, and then like that bell shape, and then kind of some like petals coming off. It doesn't have to be perfect again. It's still just a sketch. But I think that's pretty good. And then where it connects, I don't know, I'll probably do something like that. All right, so there's one daffodil, and then I think I have another one I decided was this one where it's more like facing forward. So, I'm kind of seeing that. So I'll probably do it very similar to the other one. So wavy shape for that kind of bell opening. And then we'll just draw some petals, kind of, usually have about 6 petals. Okay, that's pretty good. So I'll probably use some shading maybe to make that look like it's, deep. So there's the daffodil, and that's a really tall daffodil. It's probably too small. I'm gonna make it bigger. So I'm just gonna select it with the selection tool, grab my transform tool, and I'm gonna make it a bit bigger. When you're in your sketching mode, it's a good time to like adjust the proportions of things because, you want to do that before you start doing your final artwork. Okay, Instagram just paused, but I think we're back. We're good. Okay, well, we got a phone call, which I thought it had it on Do Not Disturb, but maybe I don't. Okay, so then I'll definitely add the stems, which are gonna be a bit thicker. And then we're gonna have like the leaves. And then I think this one I decided would be folded over, something like that.
Which sketch brush? Bro, I can't even talk suddenly. Which sketch brush are you using right now?
I am using Bardo pencil from the Pencil Box set. But any pencil brush is great for sketching, really. Just kind of pick one that you like, but I usually use my own brushes, so that's what I'm using. But that's from Pencil Box, one of my brush sets. All right, so let's add a stem to this guy, and then maybe some leaves going this way and that way. Okay, cool. So we've got our daffodils all done. Maybe I'll add some definition there. So let's move on to the next one. I think I'm gonna do this tulip next. So let's look at tulips. Tulip. And I haven't decided on colors yet. I know, daffodils are yellow, but a lot of other ones come in different colors. So tulips, like iconically, this is like the tulip shape, like the cartoon tulip shape, which I could do that if I wanted to like really stylize it. I think I might add a little bit more definition than that by showing the petals a bit more, like kind of like this one maybe. So let's see, something like that. All right, so it's kind of tilted, so I'm there we go. I use the select and transform to adjust my sketches quite a lot. And then a stem, and we'll have some leaves coming up from the bottom, and that one as well. Cool. Okay, so there's a tulip. I think I just did the one tulip. So I think I'm going to move on to my poppies, which I think I could just go back. Okay. All right, so I've got pictures of the Icelandic poppies. So they're going to overlap over the flowers that I've already drawn. And sometimes I do my sketches in multiple layers so that I can manipulate everything very easily. So I think that's what I'm going to do in this case. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to create another layer. So I have a layer above the flowers I already drew. So I can draw this poppy that's overlapping this. And just in case I decide I need to move this whole flower over a little bit, I can do that. I can still do that because I'm not like drawing on top of it. So, and I'm going to even reduce the opacity of that or maybe I'll just turn it off for now. I'm just gonna turn off that so I can more easily see what I'm doing over here. So poppies are very round. You can see the individual petals, but they do look like a nice round shape. So that's why I'm going with the round shape. And then they have this kind of like thing in the middle with the little, what is it, stamens? I don't know. I'm not a flower person. And then they go like that. And then I'm probably just gonna show a little bit of the individual petals. I think there's like, so something like that. Very simple, stylized kind of poppy. And then I'll do the stem. And then this thing is supposed to be like a bud, which you can kind of see here. They kind of like flop over a little bit.
And just in case you didn't know, Lisa, the stamen is the male fertilizing organ of a flower.
The sticky outy part, right?
Typically consisting of a pollen-containing anther and a filament.
Which is what that sticky outy part is, right? That's usually what male means, right?
It's like the little side ones, typically, of certain flowers. So yeah, it's the little tiny ones with the pollen base.
Okay, cool.
Those little guys.
Okay, then I know I have one up here that I was gonna do. That's kind of like a side angle. So something like that maybe. So I'll just kind of do it like this. Yeah, something kind of like that. And you can't really see any other details to it. Except for the bottom here. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty good. And then kind of bends over and down. And then I know like poppy stems are usually kind of like a little bit wavy, like you can kind of see in this one. So I'll make it a little bit wavy. And then as far as the leaves, I know California poppies leaves kind of, they stick off and they do like this, but I don't think Icelandic poppies do the same thing. I think all their leaves are at the base. Let's look it up. Let's look it up. Yeah, I think they're all down at the bottom like that. So I guess it won't have any leaves down there. That's fine. I mean, I could add some if I want to down there. We'll kind of come back to that. I don't know. I'll leave that for now. We'll see. I might not do that. Okay, and I think I had one more little poppy I was going to do. Maybe I'll do this one as like a California poppy. A golden poppy. What's it called? I should know. It's my state flower. Okay. Did we have any questions as I'm sketching out all these flowers? Trying to figure out what they look like.
The one question was, the one on the right, that's your California poppy as well? Or that's...
This one's going to still be an Icelandic poppy. They're bigger than a California poppy. And this one I think I'm just going to do as a little California poppy. I'm just like random flowers. Region doesn't need to make sense. We're just drawing flowers. So I kind of want something like this where you can see that like kind of bell shape. So I'll start with a bell shape since that's what I think it looks like that. And then it kind of, maybe that's a petal. And then you can see the petals back here a little bit. Kind of like that. Yeah, you guys, I think so. And then like there, and the stem. They're very small flowers. I don't know if any of you guys live in California and see these. I'm sure do they grow in other places? I don't even know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
We just got lots of them here.
And then I'll show you the leaves too, because I'm going to add that. You can kind of see it in there. Oh, here's a good picture. Well, this is a fake one. I don't want that. Okay, here. There you can see they have like more fine kind of leaves that actually come off of the stem a bit. So I usually draw them like that. Just kind of really simple. I might even draw a bud like that. There. And maybe one more leaf. Okay, cool. That looks like a California poppy to me. Okay, what else on this I think maybe we'll do the ranunculus because I'm trying to do flowers that don't seem to be touching, like all in the same layer. Ranunculus, boom. There's one right in front of me on my desk, but that's okay. Still good to have reference photos. So this is like a round, pretty dense shape with a lot of like concentric lines in the middle. So that's kind of how I'm going to simplify that. And I think this guy was the ranunculus. So I'm going to have it kind of facing forward. And then I think when I do this one, I'm just going to like do a bunch of lines that kind of go around each other like that. And then maybe some like petals on the outside too to make it more round. So that's probably how I'll approach that one. Ranunculus stem. Yeah, and they kind of have some leaves that come around the top too. So I'll draw a stem and some leaves that do, I'm going to simplify them a little bit, but they have kind of like 3 little bits that come off. And maybe a bud. I love the buds. The little, with that kind of, yeah. Okay, and then maybe one more leaf down here. And one more. Cool. I think that looks pretty good. This one was a ranunculus too, I think. Or, I don't know. I don't remember. We'll just make it one. How about that?
Okay. I mean, I'd say it looks like it.
Yeah, okay. Why not? Okay, cool. So that's enough for that layer. So now it's getting pretty messy, but when I finalize this, I'll clean it up a little bit more. Okay, so I'm gonna do one more layer to do the final flowers. So I'm gonna turn those off. I'm adding another layer, and to turn off visibility, it's just these little check boxes here. And I think the only ones I have left to do are the grape hyacinth and the sweet peas, which are the 2 hardest ones. Okay. Grape, hyacinth. I'm gonna roll that picture back up again. Okay, drinking water. Okay, so I'm gonna. I don't want to draw all these individual little flowers on this because I'm trying to keep it stylized and simple. That's the style I'm going for. So I kind of want to find a way to simplify that shape. So I think what I might do, I could do it kind of like scales and do it like this, maybe. Which I think looks okay. So I might just use like line work to kind of differentiate. And hopefully it doesn't look like a corn on the cob. Maybe once it's like purple, it won't look that bad. But I'll try that for now. And if I think of a different way to do it, maybe I'll try it differently. But I think that's what I'll do for now. And then we're gonna get our stem or leaves. And we'll kind of just have those come up like that. It looks like a melting popsicle or something. That's okay. It will look better once there's color. And then sweet peas. Sweet pea flower. Okay. Trying to think of what would be a good reference photo to use. Sometimes even like fake flour, because they have already simplified it down to its most basic forms because they want it to look accurate to what the flower looks like, but while also like making it more simple and streamlined. I don't know if that makes sense. Sometimes those are good to look at because I can see like the construction of the actual flower. So this has like a stem with a lot of flowers on it. So I'll start with the stem. I'm gonna look at a couple more. Even this is like another illustration. So this is how this person simplified what a sweet pea looks like, which is also good to look at like other artists' work to see what choices they made, which might influence the choices that you might make. You don't ever want to like copy it, you know, and pass it off on your own, but it is good to like look at the way other people have approached this problem. And I have a really good article, which I'm just going to show you really quick because it's can be a very divisive topic. Oh, I'm already in Safari, which is like looking at other artists' work. But I have a good article, sorry, bear with me. It's on my blog, about how to use how to use influence and inspiration appropriately. So it's actually probably in my tutorials page. And I made this when we were doing environments for making art every day. So that was one of the months we did where we drew environments. And this shows you how when I was approaching the quote unquote problem of drawing a jungle river scene and like not sure what to do, because if you Google jungle rivers, they're very dense and it's like, so I went to Pinterest and looked at some different artists' work. And then I like gleaned things from these different works of art. This one's by Mark Conlon. I really liked the trees and the way that he depicted them. This one, I loved all the like different shapes of all the plants. I loved the plants going into the foreground of this one. And then the colors, like all the colorful nature of this one. And kind of how I took all of that, and it influenced me when I was making my own. So this was the final piece from that. Oops. And I'm trying to zoom out, but it's not letting me. So you can see like similar palm tree shapes and the stuff coming into the foreground and like the kinds of flower, like plant shapes and the colors. And it's not exactly like any of those other ones. This is mine, but I use some of those as influences as I'm working on my own piece. So that's a way that if you're not sure how to approach a drawing or like it seems really overwhelming, go and look at a bunch of different sources. And I even like also looked at reference photos to get ideas for like jungle flowers I could add, which were like these, I think. So go look at a bunch of different sources and like absorb them all and then interpret them through your own brain. So that's that. Okay, so I do need to get my Safari back up. Do you have any questions while I'm pulling this back up and going back? Jeff?
Well, yeah, there's a good one that we can talk about. Did you always have this style? And how did your art look a few years ago?
I mean, you can go look at my Instagram and scroll way back. I've always liked this type of style, and I think that's something with art is you kind of, Ira Glass has a really good, like, talk on this, and, like, you have a certain taste, but sometimes your skill, like, usually when you're starting out, your skills can't match that taste yet. So you have to keep working at it and practicing it. And I've always like had a taste for this kind of art where it's like stylized, very colorful, graphic. Like that's what I gravitate to. And it's just taken me a while to get to my skills to the point where I can actually produce what I imagine in my head. And that's what you're seeing now is like years and years of practice where I can like look at a picture and I'm like, oh, I can depict it in this way and da-da-da. So yeah. I guess I hope that answers the question. But I also know, like, I try a lot of different styles, and I like to experiment, and I usually don't stick doing the same thing for too long. So, all right, so this is how I'm interpreting the sweet pea. I'm kind of looking at this one here, and I'm seeing that, like, roundish shape. So I'm just going to draw a few of those. That one's going to get covered up, but maybe I'll draw one more down here. So, and then this like other thing, like that. I think that looks pretty good. Leaf-wise, not a ton of leaves. Like that fake one had some leaves on it. But I think it's getting pretty crowded in here. So I'm not going to worry about the leaves until maybe the end if I need more greenery. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and turn all the layers back on now and really make some decisions about what's gonna go in front and what's not. So I think as far as like what goes in front of things, pretty much the order of the layers that I did are what I'm gonna do. So the only things I might move around a little bit are maybe this tulip, because I have some space here that I can fill it up a little bit better if I move that over. See, today I'm spending a lot of time on my sketch, but sometimes you need to. So I'm just gonna maybe rotate it a little bit so I can like fill in that area. But other than that, I don't know if there's anything else that's like weirdly overlapping or, you know, I think I think I'm pretty happy with everything. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with this back layer and maybe just like, which layer am I on? What am I doing? Okay. Just erasing away parts that are gonna be behind other things. Just loosely. Be like there. There, just so I get an idea of like what's going in front of what. Like that's gonna be gone because that's gonna be in front of it. And then I'll go to the next layer and do the same, which I think is just gonna be there. I hope this is making sense. If it's not, let me know. I'm just cleaning it up so I know like what's in front of what. Oh, and like, I think these sweet peas are going behind everything, so I'm gonna erase that part of it. And I think that's fine. That's enough to like make it look a little cleaner. I'm gonna turn off that like original sketch and that's gonna help out a little bit more. Okay, so now I've got stuff, plenty of stuff everywhere. The only thing no, I'll just leave it for now because I can always add like some leaves or something. This little space right here, it looks a little too empty to me, but I'll add something there maybe later. And then I might move that sweet pea over a little bit. I know I just erased a bunch of it away, but it's okay. I still know it's what it looks like there. Okay, cool. So we've got like a flower scene. So now I'm gonna start adding in my colored shapes. So I'm just gonna merge these 3 layers, and you can do it a couple different ways, but if you like grab all 3 and pinch them together, that will merge all the layers into one. You can also merge layers by tapping and doing merge down, then you have to do it twice. So that's another way that you can do it. And then as far as, I should probably add in a background color now. No, I don't know, I might just leave it white. I think I might just leave the background white for this one because I'm gonna have a lot of other colors. Maybe I'll change my mind later, but we'll see. Okay, so if you've been following along with how I do my sketches this week and last week, I reduce the opacity until I can just kind of barely see it. And if you notice, if I go not, you know, I'm not all the way down in opacity, but it's pretty much disappeared. And this has to do with the way that magic paper is affecting the colors and the tones of this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move just the sketch above the magic paper texture stack. And that way I can just have it be there and it doesn't need to have texture applied. It's just a sketch. Okay, so I'm turning it down and then I'm setting it to multiply so that it will always be dark on top of whatever I'm drawing. And I can always see it. Okay, so now I'm gonna add a layer below the magic paper stack and I'm gonna start drawing some flowers. So, and when I know that I'm gonna use a lot of layers for this drawing, and when you're thinking about layers, you just wanna think about like what's gonna be in front of what, you know, what's gonna be covering up what, and that's gonna determine like what order you're gonna do things. And I probably will stick to kind of what I did with the sketch a little bit, where it's on those separate layers, those specific flowers. So let's start with the daffodil, shall we?
Real quick, just because there's a lot of people just joining, what the heck is magic paper?
Yeah, magic paper. I'll just show you really quick. Magic paper is a product that I made, and it's 25 different textured canvases, so that when you open one of these canvases up and start drawing, it looks special. Let me get a cool brush so I can show you really quick. It has, let me get a darker color so you can see it better. This cool texture is applied to your brush strokes and anything basically that you draw. Let me do a darker. Let's get a different color. Okay, so you can see this. So this kind of like watercolory texture. This one's called Sediment is what I named the magic paper. And there's a bunch of different ones that do like different watercolor effects, texture, like paper texture effects and things like that. These pictures are kind of small, but if you go to my website, you can see like this texture is because of the magic paper. This that makes it look kind of watercolory is because of the magic paper. And even this like rough paper texture, that one's actually called rough paper, is because of the magic paper. And if I were to turn off the texture part of this file, it would just look like that. So it does something a little magic when you're working with it. So all these, the way these textures like layer and affect what's below it. So that's what magic paper is. It's super fun. I think it like really is very creatively invigorating to like just have it look a little more real and less digital. So that's what that is, and it's awesome.
And which one did you choose?
Yeah, this one I'm using is the Sediment magic paper. Sediment. It's got a cool watercolory feel. Okay, and I think I'm going to stick to using the magic brushes, which are the brushes that come with it. So the one I'm going to use to kind of fill in my shapes, I think, is Solid Gold. And this one's a pretty solid brush. It's good for making shapes and things like that. But you can use literally any brush with magic paper. Like I could go into like some of the Procreate brushes and like use this one. Let me a darker color so you can see it on camera. And it still looks amazing. Like anything that you draw, you can use whatever brush you want. It's gonna have that texture applied to it. But I'm gonna use the magic brushes that come with it. I haven't worked with this set in a while because I've been so like obsessed with Gouache Paint Box. So it's kind of fun to go back to one that I released a little bit ago. Okay, so this one's called Solid Gold. I'm just gonna fill in this yellow daffodil like that. There we go.
We just had, looks like Carla Draws was just saying, I'm a huge fan of magic paper. You can create so many different effects with that set.
Oh, yay. I'm so glad to hear that. I was like really excited when I released this product. I thought like every time I used it, it just made me feel like, oh my gosh, like, it looks like simple little, that looks cool to me. Like, and if, you know, if I turn that off, it's like, whatever. But with the magic paper, it's like, ooh, you know. So as far as this, I probably will do this flower in 2 layers. I like to use layers a lot because I might want to go back and like shade just the flower part and not the bell part. So I'm putting it on a new layer and I'm going to choose maybe something a little more orangey just so I can see it better. Yeah. I hope that makes sense. If I'm ever not making sense and you need me to explain what's going through my brain better, I will try. Just ask a question. Okay, so I'm just doing basic shapes. I'm not worried about details at all. I'm just gonna go through, and this helps me also plan out like the colors and things like that before I go get really detailed with stuff. So I kind of like to go through and do all the basic shapes, and then I'll go back and add details. And I'm still on this layer with the bell, like the bell shape, so I'm just gonna do this one too. As a little kind of wavy thing and fill it in. And then I'm gonna go back to that layer with the like petal part, grab that same yellow that I was using from my history. If you don't see this history in Procreate, you either don't have Procreate 5 or you have a smaller iPad screen. The smaller screens, unfortunately, don't support that. And then I'll add these petals. I'm gonna try and go quickly for you guys so you don't get bored. But if you have questions, throw them out there. It gives me something to talk about while I'm just like coloring in shapes. Okay, cool. All right, there's that daffodil. And then let's do this tulip. I'll just stay on the same layer. As long as things aren't touching on the layer, like I'm fine with them being on the same layer. It's just where things overlap like this does. I usually try to put it on a different layer so I can work with it independently later. So the tulip, you know what, okay, I'm gonna just pick a pink, and I don't, there's certain things that are certain colors, like the orange poppy and stuff, but I'm just gonna abandon that train of thought and do a pink tulip. I might change it later, that's my point. So I'm picking a pink, and then it's probably too dark, like darker than I maybe want it to be, but I can always go back and change the colors later. Okay. And then these do overlap, but I think I can go back and like shade it pretty easily. So I'm not worried about it too much. All right, there's my tulip shape. It's kind of weird. That's fine. All right, there's my tulip shape. What else can I do? I can probably do the poppy, and I might make that one orange. So I'm gonna choose an orange color, and I'm just gonna draw that wavy edge and fill it in. Trying to keep it super simple. Okay, so there's orange. This one, maybe I'll try like a peachy, I don't know, peachy pink. There we go. I'm filling that shape. I can do this ranunculus, and I'm going to pull my references up again so I get an idea what colors these flowers come in. Ranunculus. Images. I've been using, if you're just popping in, I've been using reference photos a lot. I could do yellow. I could do another orange. I might do another orange. I think we could use some orange over on that side too. Maybe like a lighter orange like that. And that's my shape for the ranunculus. Although I do have this orange, which is going to be more of a like yellowy orange, so I might change that orange later. And all of these are not overlapping, so that's why they're all going on the same layer.
Someone's just asking, is there a reason you are actually filling in your shapes manually as opposed to dropping a fill?
Yeah, there is actually. For this particular brush, it has kind of a textured edge, so the color drop might not be the best thing, to use. If it spills out like that, you just need to adjust your color drop threshold, which if you drag it and drop it in, don't let go. You can slide and you'll get this bar at the top, which lets you adjust how much bleeding into the shape happens. So also if you get like this weird white ring when you do color drop, that's also what's happening. So I could do that, but it's a really textured brush. It's got a little bit of opacity to it, so it's not gonna be perfect. And that's a reason I just fill them in manually. Sometimes with textured brushes or brushes that have a little bit of opacity built into them, that happens, so.
Which brush are you using again?
I am using solid gold from the Magic Brushes brush set that I made. Okay, this guy, I'm gonna put on a new layer. It's really close to this other daffodil, so I probably will just reuse this layer because it doesn't touch that, so. And this one, I think we need some more pink, like a lighter pink. And there we go.
And we'll definitely touch this later. Someone was just asking, if I started out with the magic paper, can I add it later?
Yes, there is a way to do that. which maybe I'll show you guys a little later.
Yeah, we'll show that.
We'll come back to that.
Yeah.
Put a pin in it. All right, purple for our grape hyacinth. You guys are getting me to add purple to an illustration. Purple is my least favorite color.
Beyond least. Like, she's understating her distastes for purple right
I don't
now.
like
You
purple.
have no idea how much she dislikes that color.
It can look good when it's with a bunch of other colors, but like it's not my like go-to for in any way, shape, or form. Like you won't find almost no purple in my house at all.
She will. What she's trying to say is she avoids it. Like,
yeah. Okay, so now we've got. Oh, I got to do the sweet peas. So I'm gonna put that on a layer below all the other ones because I'm just afraid it's gonna touch too much. So I made a layer below the other two flour layers, and I'm gonna do my sweet peas, which I think they're like. There's pink, magenta. They come in a lot of different colors. I gotta decide what color I wanna pick. I might do the magenta because it kind of complements the purple over here a little bit. You guys are getting me to do all kinds of purple today. All right, we're gonna go with like a magenta-y, like that. Okay. Well, that might be a little too neon, but we'll circle back to that. Once I have all my like flowers laid out, I can see where, like what kind of colors I wanna. I think there was one down here too. Okay, so I'm just making these kind of like bean shapes for the sweet peas. And then I'm gonna use another layer to add that like little middle of this part. I think I don't know. I'm having trouble deciding what to do. Maybe I'll just leave it for now. I'm gonna lighten these up a little bit. Those are the only thing on this layer. So I'm going to use hue, saturation, brightness to adjust this color. I don't need to make a selection because it's the only thing on that layer. And I really just want them to be maybe a little lighter. So I'm just using the brightness slider to like make them a bit lighter. What happened?
It did not give me the option to save. Though.
Oh. Instagram, we just lost our Instagram, so we're getting it back up. Okay, so we're looking pretty good.
Instagram's back.
I want more yellow in this, but it's okay. I'm all right with this. The only thing is probably like these two colors are kind of similar, but we'll see once I like add more shading and definition and stuff if I'm okay with that. I like yellow a lot. Okay, so we've got all our flower shapes. We've got them kind of separated out on different layers based on if they're overlapping or not with each other. And now I'm gonna add all the like stems and things like that. So I'm gonna definitely start with a layer below all those layers. And I'm probably gonna do multiple layers for the stems as well. So we'll kind of see how that goes. I'm gonna choose like a nice springy green, limey, yellowy green. And I'm still using the solid gold brush. I might make the brush size a little smaller though. That's probably too small. There we go. Cool. So we've got a stem, and then I think we decided we're gonna do a leaf over here. Okay. And then this one as well. Fill that in.
And real quick, you were using which golden? What?
Oh, so this brush is called Solid Gold.
Solid gold.
It's from my Magic Brushes set, which is included with the Magic paper. But it's just it's a fairly solid brush with a little bit of a soft textured edge. So if you're looking for something similar in your own, brush collection, that's what you want to look for. I usually use a fairly solid brush to fill in the shapes. Whatever the edge of the like brush shape is, should match the texture of the object that I'm drawing. So if I was drawing like a furry ball, I'd use a brush with like a really textured edge possibly. If that makes sense. Okay, so we've got some nice light greens to go on the daffodils. I'm gonna do like a darker green for this poppy stem. So I'm gonna go a little cooler, a little darker. I like to mix up, like when I'm doing a lot of different greens, I like to include cooler and warmer and cooler greens. I like to really mix up how many different greens that I do, different shades of green. And then this poppy also should have that same color, but it's gonna overlap this one I just drew. So I'm just gonna put that on another layer. So I created a layer above the one with the daffodil stems, and there we go. I'll draw that over the top. Maybe I'll have it overlap more. And then we can also draw a little bud. Hey, bud. Cool. Okay. I'd probably put some more stuff on this layer because I know there is other things that overlap these daffodil stems, like this one. And the color, I don't have to, no, ranunculus. I'm not trying to make it like, oh, that's not what I wanted. Completely accurate, but it might give me an idea. Okay, I can't spell today. Sorry, guys. Yeah, it's kind of like a grassy green. This one I have is pretty good, but I might go a little lighter with it, like that.
While you're doing it, someone was just asking, and by the way, it's not a silly question. How do you do the side-by-side view on your iPad Pro? How do you Safari out there?
I'll show you how to do it one more time. So there's a little line at the bottom and you just drag up. Not too fast or you'll get into like this mode. So you just drag it up and then grab Safari. I have it saved in my dock, but if you use it recently, it might appear over here. And then you drag it over there and drop it, and then you can adjust. There's how you do it. Okay, and I think this was like a little bud or something. Yeah, this was like a bud for the ranunculus, so I'm gonna draw that in. I didn't draw the flower part, although it's, I might move this all the way to the back, since I know this is gonna be behind everything else, and it was like cutting off part of that little bud that I'm gonna be adding, so that's what I did there. And then I'm gonna turn off this one so I can see this shape a little bit better in my sketch. And I'm just gonna go pretty loose with these leaves. One more. Oops, that's not very good. There we go. So kind of some loose leaf shapes there. One more here. Add a couple more leaves. And there. All right, cool. That's it for that. What else can I do right now? I can do the, what is this, tulip stem, which I will do. I think I'm gonna just go darker, just kind of mix up the greens a little bit. There we go. Has anybody ever gotten to go to a tulip farm? Like we went to one a few years ago near Portland, Oregon, where Jeff's brother lives. Well, near Portland, Oregon. And it was so cool. It was like the coolest thing ever. The just like tulips for as far as you can see in all these different colors, and it was so beautiful. If you ever get a chance, I recommend it. Okay, we definitely need to add in this guy and his stems. That was the grape. I keep having to go, like I'm going back and forth to a lot of different images, so kind of like a grassy green. Maybe we'll go a little lighter, same. And I want to make sure it's in front of this, like the daffodil, so this layer is going to be good for that. I just want to make sure, always make sure you're like on the right layer. That's probably a little too bright. That's good.
Someone's just asking, is there a good alternative brush in your sets other than the brush you're working with right now?
Like I said, something that Like if you were using gouache paint box, which I was using, any of them that are like pretty solid and have fairly, you know, smooth edges, a little bit of texture is okay. Opaque round is what we were using a lot for the stuff we've been doing earlier this week. Mid-Century has a lot of like, you know, like that inker. I don't know. You kind of play around and see what, just like my best, you know, like advice. Thank you. That's the word. Is to just try out the brushes and see what they're capable of. And we did this in the Procreate workshop we did on Friday. So we drew this really cool illustration and it kind of showed you like a whole bunch of cool Procreate tips and tricks and all the basics pretty much that you need to know along the way. But one of the first things that we did was to do a brush stroke study where I'll show you what that looked like. You just go through, and these are all the built-in brushes that I was playing around with, and you just go through and see like what each brush looks like, what happens when you do more, you know, pressure and tilt, and what kind, you know, if you adjust the brush size, what kind of stroke you can get. So you start to understand the capabilities of your brushes. Like I use my brushes in a particular way because that's how I draw, but there are so many ways that you could use them, you know, that you'll discover. Just like with any art tool, like how many ways can you use a paintbrush? How many marks can you make with a real physical paintbrush? Or what can I do with this particular marker? Just to get to know your tools. So it's the same with digital. All right, let's do this guy, which needs to be in front of this tulip. So I'm gonna add another layer and I'm gonna go a little warmer, a little lighter. Maybe that's too light. There we go, that's good. I'm gonna go a little, this one has a pretty thin stem, so I reduced my brush size a little bit to get like a thinner, maybe my bud won't quite touch that other one. And then these leaves. Any more questions while I'm drawing all these leaves and stems and stuff? Yeah.
Hey guys, don't be afraid to ask anything. You know, throw the questions up. I'm here and able to see a lot of them. We actually had a couple people say yes. We actually have 2 people that are in Holland.
Oh
in
my
the
gosh!
right now, so.
One day I'll go and see the tulip fields out there. Oh my gosh, I would die. Nature isn't like my biggest inspiration. Like some people are really inspired by nature and natural things and things like that, and it's not mine. Like that, like my favorite thing, but like whenever there's something in nature with a lot of color, like really like intense, like flowers, like those flower fields, or like a really intense sunset or rainbow or something, like then I go crazy. Like if there's ever a really amazing sunset, like Jeff can attest to me like going absolutely losing my mind over it. Yeah. So, okay, my sweet peas need stems, and I think I'm done with the stems. I just realized I forgot the little, like, you know, that little bloop part of the sweet peas, but it's okay. I'll add that in a bit. So I'm going to create a layer below the sweet pea layer, and then I'm going to add, maybe I'll go warm or cooler, a little darker for that, and we'll see if that doesn't blend in too much. So I'm just going to add the stem. I think that's okay. There we go. A little more pressure will make the line a bit thicker. And then I think, there we go.
Someone's just asking, which layer do you have on right now for multiply?
Ooh, what?
Someone just said, which layer do you have on multiply? Right?
Oh, just my sketch layer. If I had it on normal, sometimes it will blend in and it makes it hard to see with certain colors if it's on top of. So I just always set it to multiply, and that will make sure it looks dark on top of whatever I'm drawing. It's hard to explain, but that's generally what it does.
And someone's just asking if you have any free brushes, which is a good question.
Yeah, so not yet, but this is like kind of my next step as a what I want to work on. And actually yesterday I worked a bunch on making our everyday, what we're going to be doing for next month, which I might reveal a little later in the week. But I'm really excited about it. And I even made a little set at. So the best way to learn about something like that, of course, is to sign up the email newsletter, which you go to bardobrush.com. There's a little pop-up to sign up. There's also like a sign up in the footer. So to learn about like new brushes and stuff that's going to be released, or freebies and things like that, is by joining the newsletter.
So make sure you sign up for the newsletter. We have some even more fun stuff, hopefully coming at the end of April for some more free brush stuff as well. And then, as you guys know, like this is all of this education. YouTube is all free, and all the education that we do is
I try right now. I don't do any paid like Skillshare or anything like that. So I try to give as much educational content away as I can. And I support, we support ourselves, our family and everything by doing the brush sales and stuff like that. So, but I do definitely want to do some freebies in the future. So, but if you do want to support me, buying some brushes is a great way to do it. I really, really super duper appreciate it. And then I also have a little place where, I don't know if you've heard of those like buy me a coffee things that artists have on their website, but I have buy me a donut because I don't like coffee. This is tea. I love tea. I do not like coffee. So buymeadonut.com if you want to, but otherwise just enjoy.
Yeah, the whole idea is for you guys to find a way to be creative every day, and this education is free, so we can help people do just that. Find a way to be creative.
Yep, that's like my mission in life, is to like help people find their creativity, because it's such an important thing in my life. Like if I wasn't doing something creative, like, which maybe for better or for worse, like I don't know what to do with myself. I don't know who I am without creativity, which maybe isn't the best thing, but it's really, really important to my life. So, okay, so I've been pausing for just a minute on this drawing because I wanted to show you something. I need to add these little like things on the sweet pea, which is like supposed to be like this little part. I wanted to show you something about magic paper in particular. If I just select it, there's like a lot of tones happening in there, and I'm not gonna get like a perfect match to whatever color that I drew previously. I mean, it's close, but no cigar. So if you need to select the exact same color as you previously used, the best thing to do is just to isolate out that layer. And you can do that by just tapping and holding the little checkbox icon. If you tap and hold it, it will turn off all the other layers. So I just have that one. And then I can tap and grab that color like that. So that's and then you can tap and hold again and everything will come back. So that's a good way to like select a color. You can also just like turn off the magic paper, but sometimes you don't want to do that. So, but I wanted to select that color so I could adjust it and get a darker color. So I don't really need the exact same color, but I just want to show you that. So I just got a little bit darker color and I'm just adding these little thingies here.
When you get a second real quick, someone just wanted to go over again autofill, because it doesn't always work for me. And I know there's just a really quick, simple tip to help with that when autofill is not working.
Yeah, you just have to adjust your color drop threshold. So if you draw a shape, drag it in, and it does that, or you get that weird white line. I haven't lifted my pencil up, and you can just adjust it this way. There's like a bar across the top. You can also search color drop threshold, and Procreate has a pretty good video about it as well. They have a lot of good like simple tutorials about all the specific features like Procreate does. So they're a good resource too.
Hope that helps us.
Okay, so I just did that same trick where I isolated out so I could select the same pink because I forgot to draw my little bud. Hey bud, down here. And then I need to add, maybe I'll add that later. I need to add like the little green stems that are around it, but that's fine. Okay, so only thing I've missed is this stem here, which was another ranunculus. So I'll probably do the stem the same color as this one. So I'm gonna isolate that out, select that color, pop it on back up. Make sure I'm on a good layer for this, which I think I'm gonna use this layer because it's gonna possibly overlap this one if I decide to add like leaves and stuff, which I might because this one does have leaves too. There we go. All right, and maybe I'll do one more on that side. Really trying to keep it pretty simple here. All right, so I've got one more ranunculus down there. The only other thing I was thinking of adding was like some leaves at the bottom of this poppy, but it's pretty like crowded down there, so I don't think I'm gonna do that. In fact, I think I am gonna darken this stem a little bit because it's blending with the other stem. So to do that, I'm selecting the layer that has that stem on it. I'm gonna select the selection tool and just draw around that area. So I'm only selecting that part of the layer. And I'm gonna go to the adjustments menu, which is little magic wand, hue, saturation, brightness. I'm just gonna darken it a little bit. And also move it over. I wanna move it over just a little bit because I don't like where it's at. So I'll show you that too. While I still have this selection made, I'm gonna go to, it's a little too dark. There we go. I'm gonna go to adjustments menu, liquify. And I often use liquify to just make little small movements to things. If I don't want to redraw it, I'll just use liquify to just scooch it over a little bit. And that's what I want. So there we go. Cool. Okay. So now we've got like all of our shapes pretty much drawn. Flowers, stems. I don't think there's any more shapes I'm going to do. So now we get to go in and add all the detail. And I think I'm going to keep it pretty simple. I'm not really going to do a lot of shading in this case. I don't really need to add texture because the magic paper does that for me. So I think I'm just going to add some line work to this. So I'll start by, let's start with our daffodils. So I'm going to create a layer above everything else. And I think I'm just gonna add some like little lines like that and maybe like a darker yellow or orangey color. And for the brush, I might use, I'll try Shooting Star, which is kind of like, it's supposed to be a liner brush. So I might use that, or I might pick a different brush from a different set if I want more defined lines. But this is not too bad. Maybe a little less orange. Okay, so already here I'm seeing that I've got a problem because I'm hitting this shape. So I'm gonna move this layer because that's why I kept the bell on a separate layer because I knew this was gonna happen. There we go. So now I've got it between the petal and the little like bell shape, and I can just more easily draw those on without having to worry about hitting this edge of this. All right. So just going around and adding some shapes or lines, I guess I should say. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to add some detail to this bell shape. So I'm going to create another layer above that one. And I think I'm going to use like a lighter color maybe to do that. So I'm going to choose like a lighter yellow. Maybe that's too light. I'm just trying to break up the edge of that. Again, this is something I haven't drawn before, so I'm figuring it out as I go.
What are you using for all of your line work right now for a brush?
I am using Shooting Star from Magic Brushes. It's included in this set. Okay. And then maybe in here we'll go darker. I'll just select that. I don't know. I kind of want it to be like a little bit darker in the middle of that. So I'm going to try something. I am going to try. That's a really soft edged brush. I think it's going to work well for this. We'll see. Just to softly darken the inside. And then I'm going to choose an even darker. Back to my shooting star, the one I've been using for all the lines. Oh, you know what I'm missing? I'm kind of figuring this out as I go, guys. Like how I want to make a daffodil look. That's what I'm figuring out. So anyways, these could I like bend in. I think that's what it was wrong. There we go. All right, so that's like, I think that's pretty good. Pretty simple, just some simple line work to kind of give that some definition and add a little bit of detail. So that's kind of how I'm going to approach this drawing for the most part, is like just adding some simple line work on top of these very basic shapes. So let's go ahead and do this guy as well. So I'm just gonna, I don't need a perfect match to that yellow, so that's good enough to get me close. And then I'm gonna go a little darker. And I'm gonna be on this layer here, which was on top of the petals. There we go. Add some lines.
While we're doing this, someone was just asking, what brush set would you buy first? And I can tell you what Lisa's favorite is right now.
People ask me that a lot, and it's really hard for me to answer. I would take a look at all the images that come with the sets and see what style of art appeals to you the most. I really love the gouache paint box. It's one of the most popular sets. So you could check that out. There's also some bundles we have that, like the starter bundle, which kind of has some of the like more popular sets. But really, I think the answer is to go in and like see what looks appealing to you, what style of art, because they're all meant to make a particular look, I guess I would say. Yeah, I need to have a better answer to that question. Sorry. And you can also go to the Bardo Brush hashtag and see what other people have made with different sets. Like we feature a lot of artist work that has been made with Bardo Brush sets, and you can see what kind of stuff other people make, because it probably, people always use them differently. And it's good to see what other people can do versus like what I can do, because I make my kind of art and I try to show a variety of different things when I make a set. So yeah, I think that's pretty good. Cool. All right, so I've got a couple daffodils. I'm gonna go over to my tulip next. I'm still on a layer that works for that. We'll probably go to this layer. And I'm just gonna get like a darker color, or actually I'm gonna get a lighter color, because tulips sometimes have, I might switch brushes here. Lovely Locks. I'm gonna try that one for what I wanna do. And I think what I am gonna do for this one is use a clipping mask. So I'm gonna create a layer right above the tulip layer. So there's the little tulip. Create a new layer and then make that a clipping mask, because I want to add some like light, I might need an even lighter color, some lighter strokes to the top. You know how tulips sometimes are like lighter at the tips of their petals? That's what I'm doing here. And I can just, anywhere I paint over here isn't gonna show because I have that clipping mask turned on. So I'm just using this Lovely Locks brush, which is kind of like a little bit drier. You can see like more bristly kind of strokes, and just using a really light color to like add that in. Cool. Yeah, I think that's great. Just a little bit of something to give it a little more interest. And then now I'm gonna go ahead and choose that darker pink. I'm gonna go back to the layer with the line art and choose Shooting Star. That's the brush I've been using for all my line work. And then just use it to define those petals. Oh, this color looks yummy. Like, I just love the, like, certain colors in magic paper, like, just look so intense and, like, delicious. That's my own. Cool. So that's pretty good. I still have my sketch layer on, so I can kind of see where I had defined some of those lines, but I think that's pretty good for a tulip. So I'm going to go on to a different one. Maybe we'll work on our poppies. So for the poppies, I'm going to start with defining the petals, and then I'm going to use another layer to add the, like, stamen. I think that we decided that was the stamen. So I'm going to choose that orange, get some a little darker, a little redder, and then just, like, kind of define the petals a little bit. And I think another thing I might do is also add some, like, of that stripey kind of texture, because this particular flower has a lot of, like lines in the petals. So I can use this same layer that I used for the tulip to do that, because it's right above the poppy layer. So reuse layers as much as you can. It's a good technique.
So I was just asking, what is the difference between clipping mask and alpha lock?
So alpha lock you would use if you want to make changes to the same layer. So if I turned on alpha lock on this layer, and I could do the same thing, adding, you know, the stripy texture. Maybe this brush isn't the best for that. Maybe I'll just do it with shooting star. But anyway, so now I'm editing the same layer. And if I were to use a clipping mask, it's on a different layer. So right now, if I was like, oh, I want to erase this for some reason, I can't, because it's a part of this layer now. So that's why you would use a clipping mask. And I try to separate things out onto different layers as much as I can. So there we go. Okay, so I just decided to use the same solid gold brush to do these, like, lines. And I'm just kind of, like, adding some lines to kind of give the petals a little bit of interest. Kind of a little wavy, kind of just not, you know, kind of randomly just throwing them down, making them a little wavy, a little wonky. Cool. I really like that. And now I'm going to use another layer, which I'll use this one that I've got up at the top, to do, like, the middle bit. So I'm using a nice yellow. I'm just going to do this. And then make the brush smaller and do those, like, little things that stick out. I think we determined are the stamens. Stamens? I don't know. Maybe they aren't.
Little pieces that stick out.
The sticky outy bits.
Yeah, that's for the pollen. Those are stamen. We talked
Okay.
about it. Do you need me to define stamen again for you?
And then I'm adding little, like, circles to the end. And this is my stylized version of what this poppy looks like, which it looks kind of like a cute little sun. Awesome. I love it. So this poppy over here, it doesn't have the middle because it's facing sideways. So all I really need to do is define the petals and maybe add some of those lines. So I'm going to use the clipping mask layer again. I'm going to get this, and I might, let me see, do I like this peachy color? Yeah, it's all right. It looks a little dull to me. So I'm going to select just that part of that layer that has the flowers on it. So I'll make a selection around there, go up to hue, saturation, brightness, and I just want it to be a little lighter, maybe a little more saturated. There we go. Perfect. All right, going back to my layer with the clipping mask, and I still have my shooting star brush, and this color I have already in my pencil or my thing is fine. I'm gonna use that. Actually, I'm gonna do that last. First, I'm gonna add the, like, stripey texture, and I'm gonna choose a lighter color for that. So I'm gonna go lighter and just add some, like, lines. Just add something interesting to the petals. Oops, I just didn't like where it overlapped here, so I'm going back.
Someone was just asking, are we going to be live tomorrow? We're
Yeah.
live tomorrow. We're going to be live
We're going to be
Thursday.
live every weekday this week for sure. And next week, we're figuring it out. We're going to Are we going to reduce it next week, or we're trying to figure out what's going to be sustainable for us to keep doing these kind of things, because doing it every day is awesome. Like, I love it, but it can get a little exhausting. So, yeah, they're a lot of work. So, so stay tuned for that.
Well, yeah, all this week, 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, we will be doing this, and then we're working towards, hopefully on Friday, what are we going to be doing?
Yeah, and on Friday, I am hopefully going to be doing a animation workshop. Last week we did like just a Procreate Basics workshop, and I gave you like a taste of animation. I did a little demo, but I have kind of a cool follow along for animation that I'm going to teach you guys on Friday. So that should be Friday at 10:30 Pacific time. I will AM.
Pacific Standard Time.
Yeah, everybody would be asleep otherwise. So, so yeah, so if you can join me, and then we'll email out some details to all the newsletter subscribers. So be sure to go to bardobrush.com and sign up for the newsletter so you can get all the details about that. But we'll be live on our 2 Facebook groups, Procreate Community, hi guys, and Bardo Brush Making Art Every Day Facebook group, hi guys, and Instagram Bardo Brush, and YouTube Bardo Brush. We try to just kind of make ourselves available as much as we can. Okay. Where should we go next? Ranunculus. I'm gonna go to this layer that's not clipped and just get that, suckling that pink and then getting a darker version of the pink. I'm still on my shooting star brush, which is a nice little liner brush. And I think what I said is, what's going on here? I'm not on the right layer. So I'm on a layer right now that's below the ranunculus shape. So I'm gonna go to this layer now. There we go. And like, I don't know, I'm just gonna like make some, almost like a rose, I guess, because they have all these like overlapping petals, lots and lots of petals on this flower. So I'm just kind of drawing those in randomly, kind of haphazardly. It's okay. Maybe I'll try mixing in some lighter color in with that. We'll see. I don't know if I'll like it, but I'm gonna try it. It's all about experimentation. I don't know, it's okay. I kind of don't like these really thick ones, so I'm gonna choose, so I'm using solid gold as my eraser, which is the one I've been using to do all the shapes. I'll just redo those 2 ones. They're just a little too thick and dark for me, so what color was I using? Was it this color, maybe? Nope, I'll just select this. Actually, what I'll do is isolate out that layer by tapping and holding, and then selecting that. That'll get me where I want to be a little bit better. Too thick still. All right, cool. I think that's fine. We're going for something like stylized, so it's not going to be super realistic. We do have this little guy here, which I don't even think it needs to have that. What it does need to have is like the green stuff that goes around it. So I'm going to choose this same color, which I think is on this layer. Select that, pop it back down, and I'll just, there we go. Make it look like a bud. There, I think that's all we need for that guy. Let's do this one while we're at it. Since we're doing ranunculus, I'm still on the same layer. I'm gonna choose a darker, when I usually choose like a darker orange, I don't wanna go too far into like the blacks. I kind of try to go more red. A little bit more red, a little bit more dark. And that's how I choose a darker orange. And I'm just kind of randomly going in there. I don't like love my ranunculus. And if I wanted to, I could do like a whole study on ranunculus and figure out like my preferred way of drawing a ranunculus. For now, this is fine, but that is what you can do. If you're like, this is like not coming out how I expected it to be, just do like a whole, like do an hour where you just draw a bunch of ranunculus and try different things, and like you'll find your way. You just have to take the time to like figure out what your way is. So this isn't my favorite, but I'm going for it. And it's okay. Like, this is what making art is all about, is like figuring out things you don't like. And I can't really define like why I don't really like it. Maybe it's just not, I don't know. But that's a part of like making art every day, is like figuring out what you do like, what you don't like, trying this, trying that. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. But you're learning about yourself as an artist and developing your skills at the same time. Okay. Let's do a little poppy. A little poppy there. I'm gonna get like a darker orange. Still on the same layer, which is fine. And I think I'm just gonna draw the edges of the lines. And do something like that. One thing, let me look up California poppies. California poppy, oops, not California. Poppy. So one thing I remember like is like the edges of the petals are very light and the like bottoms are a little more like saturated in orange. So I think I might try and do something like that. In fact, because now I'm realizing that I might not do dark lines for the edges of the petals. Maybe I'll do light lines. So to do that, I'm gonna go to, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go to the layer with the flowers on it. I'm gonna select it, make a selection around that poppy, and I'm gonna make it more yellow. So it'll be like the edges, and then I'm gonna darken the bottom. So I'm going to hue, saturation, brightness. I'm gonna go brighter, maybe to like that. So now it's a little bit more yellow. And then now I'm gonna use Alpha Lock, because somebody was asking about that, because I don't mind it being on the same layer. I'm probably not gonna edit this again. So it's already got it turned on because I was showing somebody, but you swipe to the right with 2 fingers to turn on Alpha Lock. Now I can't draw anything beyond the shape of this flower. So I'm gonna choose an orange. I'm gonna choose the Sweeping Wash brush, which is a very soft edge brush. It'll be great for shading. And maybe go a little bigger. Oh, that looks great. I love that. Yes, yes, yes. That's awesome. That's exactly what I wanted to do. So now it's like kind of this cool gradient. And now I want to add that to the inside too, but if I do that, it's such a soft brush that I'm going to lose, you know, that edge. So kind of a way around that is what, if I go to the clipping mask layer, and this is why clipping masks are awesome. And I'm just going to, let me make my brush size a little smaller. I'm just gonna darken down at the bottom here and leave the tops of the petals light. And now, because it's on another layer, I can erase parts of it away. There, and that's exactly what I wanted. So we have this, we have this part on the same layer as an Alpha Lock, and then we have this part on as a clipping mask because that allowed us to erase a part of it away. So there's a reason why you might do it that way. And I'm really happy with the results of that. I think that looks really cool. I didn't really add a lot of shading to any of my other flowers, but this is like a big experimentation. So I'm learning that is a really cool way that I can do poppies. So I'll probably use that in the future if I ever draw poppies again. And now I'm going to go to this layer that's not clipped, I think, to draw in the little stems, or not stems, but like the petals being separated. Yeah. I don't know. I think that's good enough. That's enough definition to say like those are separate petals. Cool. Oh, like, I'm really happy with the poppy.
Which brush was that real quick again? It was so smooth, someone was saying.
Oh, which one was this line? I think, well, the line brush was Shooting Star. That's what I've been using to do all the line work. And then the Sweeping Wash brush was the one that I used to add this, like, It's a really soft edge brush. So you could use like a soft airbrush would probably be something similar. Like any brush that has really soft edges, you can get really nice, like gradiated, I don't know, it looks like blended like that. Okay, so now let's do this guy, the grape hyacinth. This was a special request. Who are you, grape hyacinth person? Somebody requested I do grape hyacinth, so I'm doing it.
Yeah, a couple of people asked.
Oh wow, this is a popular plant. Okay, so my color is like, this is more blue definitely than what I chose, but I mean this one's kind of purple. So, but I'm gonna go with it because this is a color that I think fits in better with my thing as a whole. So I'm making a choice as an artist not to make it realistic, and that's what stylizing is all about. So I think I decided I would do like little, in my sketch, I had like little, like things like that. They also have these little like light colored things on the edges. So maybe I'll do a combo of both of those things. So let me reduce the opacity of that sketch. We'll bring it up a little bit more. Okay, so I'm gonna start with like, I'm gonna go to this layer because it's above that layer with the hyacinth on it. I'm gonna choose a darker purple and the shooting star brush. And then I'm just gonna define, maybe that's not dark enough. I'm just gonna define the edges. So it's kind of like scales almost. So I'm just adding in the like flower shapes really in a simple way. I'm really trying to simplify it because you could like round out each of those flower shapes and you could do it that way. But I'm just kind of trying to get the impression of what this looks like. And that again is another thing with stylizing, is like, I just want to get like the impression that this is the flower that it is. It doesn't have to be exactly right. Oops. And they kind of get a little bit smaller up towards the top, so I'll start making them a little bit smaller.
While you're doing that, someone was asking, I know you have 2 kids.
I do have 2 kids.
We even have one on the way.
One on the way. He's kicking me right now, actually. He's like moving around a bunch.
How the heck are you able to do all of this?
Childcare.
Childcare's an interesting thing right now.
Yeah,
you know?
we are very fortunate that we have Jeff's mom who lives by herself. And we do, like, Jeff is our go out of the house guy. He does all the grocery shopping. He does her grocery shopping, so she doesn't have to leave the house right now. And she can still come over to our house, and like, she hasn't had any social contact with anybody else. So, and we haven't, so we're not transmitting anything to each other just in case. But yeah, we have her right now coming every day for a few hours. And then we kind of like tag team the rest of the time if we need to. Between Jeff and I, we both work from home on this business. So we wouldn't be able to do that if we didn't have help there. So
we are supported by all of you guys. We are supported by my mom, thankfully, taking care of all of that stuff. And we love that we get to do this for all of you guys.
Yep. And I know if you are a new parent especially... Ding dong, someone's at the door. It's probably like Amazon. Do I like that? Sure. All right. I'm just adding little light colored circles to be like that part of it. Anyways, if you're a new parent and you are trying to do it all on your own, if you can get childcare, like when my first was born, I really thought I could just we had a photography business at the time, and I could just keep doing what I do and have him next to me on the side. And then once he got mobile, it was very, very hard to do that. So just get help. It's okay. I know it's hard to find help right now, but when you can, take the help. I am the worst at getting help with things. And my goal this year for myself was to get help in many different ways, help with outsourcing parts of my business and help with like accepting help from people with my kids, because sometimes I just want to do it all, you know. Help. I started therapy again this year, so help with my mental health, and I am very resistant to like getting help. That's just my personality. So get help. It's okay. Rely on each other. We need to, especially right now. So there's my grape hyacinth. I think it's more grape than these. These are like blueberry hyacinths. They kind of are a little funny looking, but that's okay. I'm going with it. The only other one I haven't done yet is like the little sweet peas, which I don't think they need a lot. So I'm going to pull up a reference photo for that. And I think I just might like add some little stripey lines like that. Yeah, that's what I'll do. So I'm going to go to this layer. I'll create a layer right above it. I'll probably do a clipping mask as that. And then I'm going to choose like a darker pink and a very small brush size, because these are pretty fine lines. Did we lose Instagram again? Man, we've been going. I didn't think this one was going to be as long as it is. I'm trying to like make these be less, you guys. And I appreciate you hanging with me for this whole time if you are. It's okay. Sorry, the gardener's going again out there if it's loud. My apologies. We'll be done very soon. Okay. Why don't we take a few more questions, if there are any, while I'm kind of finishing up this drawing, and then we can like wrap things up. Oops, we forgot this guy.
Opinions on the new iPad Pro. What are they?
It seems cool. I think it's like a minor step up from the previous version. So if you're coming from like a, you know, older, slower, smaller iPad, that's going to be really awesome for you. I am not going to be updating because mine already does everything I need it to do. So okay, so I turned on Alpha Lock on this layer, and I'm just going to add a little bit of like, actually, I'm going to add a little bit of dark to the bottoms of these guys. Maybe. Am I on the right layer? Yeah, I just think I don't have anything dark enough. So I'm just kind of like darkening the bottoms. I don't know if that's necessary, but okay. So here I am. I'm going to turn off my sketch because it's always good to just look at things with a fresh perspective. So probably the only other things I would maybe add is some definition and line work to the leaves. And I'm going to do that really quick. So I'm going to use Alpha Lock for these instead of the clipping mask, because I think it'll be faster. And I'm just going to select that color, get something a little darker. And I think I'm going to go to a different set for this. I'm in the gouache paint box, getting the bristle painter. And I'm just gonna, I think this is like a brush that has like a lot of lines to it, you know, like it's very stripey. It's probably a little too dark. So you can use it, go to different sets and like play around. I'm just like adding something to make this look a little more defined. So it's not such like a flat color. I'm gonna do this one too. I can even do the stem if I want. Let's do this one, which is this layer. Do a lighter color for this. Maybe a little green.
Someone's just asking, are you using Alpha Lock?
Yeah, I'm using Alpha Lock to do this. I'm on the same layer. I'm not too worried about it for these leaves, because I'm kind of doing them all in the same way. Go back and edit. Let's go here with this one. I just want them to look a little less like flat. Flowers have, and then the pop still on that same look. Maybe, oh, this one. I can probably do it pretty well. There we go. That looks kind of cool. This one, which I think is on this layer. going is on this. I'm just kind of add a little, and it's been nice because it's a little light green that's behind it. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of that. Maybe this guy. That's no. Turn on alpha lock.
Pause a little bit.
Hopefully, you guys are. YouTube is probably the best place to go.
No, but
YouTube.
It's us.
Not doing that good. So hopefully, I'm almost done anyway. So I'm just adding. Now I'm happy with this. I think I'm gonna call it a day. Here we go. Here's my finish. I've tried to keep it pretty simple. But yeah, we're still done for the day. Flowers. So it's nice to do something outside of my comfort. So do we have any
Lives. So we're
gonna sign up for my email newsletter. I'm gonna do some more lives, and all will look like for that. Any other questions?
Do you have troubles with your times?
Maybe. I don't know about that
How
one.
to install Magic Paper?
Go to Bardo. How to use it. This is where you sign up for the email stuff. So check out that video, and that'll give you a better grasp of like what exactly it is and stuff. So that's a really great video, and it just tells you exactly how to use everything and the best practices. There's also a really cool user guide included, and it's just a lot of fun to play around. Like you can just draw like random shapes, and they look really cool. So Magic Paper is really fun. Anything else?
It's just that we've really kind of we've lost
Are we
internet
done?
there for a bit.
All right. Well, if you're still there, thank you for joining me, and we'll see you tomorrow. It's been really fun. Bye-bye.